Student, today I am going to start Civics Chapter 3. Why do we need a parliament? And you know what is meant by parliament in 6th and 7th standard, you have learned it. Now you are learning in 8th standard, you know about the parliament there. So here the chapter's name is Why do we need a parliament? We in India pride ourselves on being a democracy. Here we will try and understand the relation between the ideas of participation in decision making and the need for all democratic governments to have the consent of their citizens. What is mean by the consent? Consent means permission. It is these elements that together make us democracy, and this is a best expressed in the institution of the parliament. And in this chapter we will try to see how the parliament enables citizens of participation in decision making and control the government, thus making it the most important symbol of Indian democracy and a key feature of the constitution. Now in the first lesson you have seen the key features of the constitution. In that key features that some fundamental rights also was included. These fundamental rights, right to vote, right to live, right to go anywhere, right to religion, these were such a key features you have learned where in first lesson about when the constitution lesson I explained. Now, why should people decide? Why should people decide means what? India, as we know, became independent on 15th August 1947. India got independence in 1947, 15th August there. Now, in 15th August, before 15th August, what happened? That our freedom fighters were there, our social reformers were there. That freedom fighter lost their lives. For what purpose? For to get our freedom. And that's why these freedom fighters always fought with the British government. And because of their efforts only we got freedom. Understood? We should not be forget their efforts. Understood? As we know, India became independent on 15th August 1947. Preceding this was a long and difficult struggle in which many sections of society participated. Means not only one society was participated. Means whenever the freedom struggle was going on at that time, every nook and corner of the country the freedom movements was developed. It means that many states were there, many union territories were there, and every nook and the corners these freedom fighters came front and they had given fight to the British government, and it is the meaning of that the many section of society participated. Understood that is? And this whenever these peoples, our Indian freedom fighters, they were participated. So this British government always started to divine and the rule, but they didn't get success. Now whenever this struggle was going on and the many sections of the society participated, there was no discrimination against the caste, against the creeds also were there. Not only the gender discrimination were there, means the men also were there, the women also were there. They had given the fight and then only we got the freedom. Understood? Before that, these peoples were not giving any type of right to us. Though they were living in our country, then also they were not giving. The people from various backgrounds joined the struggle and they were inspired by the ideas. Now every nook and corner, just I told the freedom struggle joined by everyone. Means peasants were not happy, artisans were not happy. They also had to left their jobs. They also had to go from one place to other place for the job opportunity. Villages became the desert there. and these people were not happy. Why? Because this East India Company were collecting most revenue for them, and that's why all the people were unhappy. Even the tribal people also there, including that one, that's why they joined the freedom struggle. They were inspired by the ideas of the freedom, equality and participation in decision making. Now see, in our house, if anybody comes and tell that this is our house and apply only our rule there, can we tolerate it? No, we cannot tolerate it. So like that, these people also are there. This East India Company or British peoples were there. They are the outsiders. They came here and they were established power where in our country. And we people dislike that one. So every nook and corner of the country, all the peoples means every caste, creed, gender, there were no discrimination, and people started this struggle movement because they wanted freedom, they wanted equality, and they wanted participation in decision making. Participation in decision making means what? They wanted participation in government, which the British government had made, because whatever the decision they were taking, that decision were not favorable for the people. Under the colonial rule, the people had lived in fear of the British government and did not agree with many of the decisions. Now, whatever the decision they had taken it, that these Indian people were not agree, but they had no dare to say. Means they are very fearing that decision. Why? Because they have to be face the grave danger for that. And did not agree with many of the decisions that they took, the British government, and make demands. Now, while these early legislature under the British government were in response to the growing demands of the nationalists, they did not allow for adults to vote, nor could people participate in decision making. This experience of colonial rule as well as the participation of different people in the struggle for freedom left little doubt in the minds of the nationalist and all persons in independent. Now the nationalist and the all persons, they were thinking that only these people are showing that Indian National Congress will get the place in where in decision making, but actually whenever there was a question hour, there was in the Sansad that question hours was there at that time, these people were not getting chance, and whatever the demand they kept in front of the government, they were not ready to listen, because this is British East India Company or British government did not want to give freedom to us. But they faced this. Why the people were not take action against this decision? Suppose the British, in the history you have learned the decision which the British East India Company was telling to the farmers there, they must have to grow indigo. But what they could not face, they could not say, because they were facing the danger. But then also some revolt happened, and that movement spread up everywhere, and because of this nationalists, because of these freedom fighters came front, even the Gandhiji also helped to them, and growing indigo stopped by the peasants. Understood? But that is the grave danger. If they try to criticize the decision, suppose our Indian try to criticize the government, then what happened there? The freedom movement changed this situation. The nationalists began to openly criticize the British, but the nationalists, they had such a dare, they were openly criticizing and make decision. As far as 1885, the Indian National Congress demanded that there be elected members in the legislature with the right to discuss the budget and ask question. Right to discuss the budgets means the money from where this company getting it there, how they are running the government, and which revenue they had been collected, whether they had utilized for country or not. That is what this budget they have to discuss and ask some questions there. The Government of India Act 1909 allowed for some elected representation. But in 1900, because of the efforts taken by the nationalists, that some rights got home to our people were in 1909. Our people means our elected representation, our representative. India would be able to participate in making decisions. With the coming of independence, we were going to be citizens of free country. This did not mean that the government could do what it felt like. Now see, government could do what it felt like. This means not whatever the decision has been taken by the government. It is not it is not compulsion to all the people that they must have to obey there. And government also cannot do such a monopoly, that monopoly means whichever they feel their decision they can be taken. Means before taking the decision they should have to think about the people, then only they will get the, then only they will right to take the decision. And if the decision is not favorable for the country, at that time government must be stopped also. It means that the government had to be sensitive to people's needs and the demands. People needs and the demands mean whatever the people needs, whatever the people demands before taking the decision. If in India there is no enough school, it is the duty of the government, that is they must open the school and everybody must get the education, and nobody deny the education, because the right to education, it is also coming in the fundamental right. So while taking the decisions, government should not think about the only peaceful of people. Peaceful of people means what? A very small amount of people there. Means government has to think all the peoples, those who are living in the villages, those are living in the far away from the places, those who are illiterate, those who are literate also. Means what? Those who are clever person, those who are scholar, culture person, this should not think about that, about them only. Means government has to think about all the peoples, whatever the demands of the people and whatever the needs of the people. The dreams and the aspirations of the freedom struggle were made concentrate in the Constitution of Independent India that laid down the principle of universal adult franchise. It means that whenever Dr. Babasaheb Ambedkar made the Constitution, at that time he had think of these demands, of this humiliation done by the particular group, by humiliation done by the particular group to whom? To the Dalit people, and because of him this Dalit could enjoy the all types of fundamental rights. Got it? Now it was the dream of everybody's. The which dream? That nationalists obviously had seen the dream of freedom. Not only the nationalists, other peoples also were there. Their dream also there. Our country is that we must get the freedom. Then the freedom struggle were made concentrate in the Constitution. Whenever the freedom struggle happened there, and we got freedom in 1947. It means that suppose today we got the freedom and next day from tomorrow shall we use our Constitution? No. With the 3 years required to make the Constitution, because the learned person they were studied, and 150 years the British government were working, controlling in our India. And what's the problem faced by our Indian people? This they had kept it in their mind, and then they make the Constitution. Why? Because of this Constitution, every must get every right which required for the people there. It means that after getting the freedom, then only we can enjoy all type of right. Before that, when the British government was there, we were not enjoying the right. Means the Constitution of India, Independent India that laid down the principle of universal adult franchise. Now what is mean by the universal adult franchise? It means that every person, those who have completed 21 years, at that time was 21 years. Now how many years? Now 18 years. But at that time the 21 years, those who have completed 21 years, they were getting right to vote. Now in that the discrimination was not there. Means men and the women, caste, creed. No, there was no discrimination, and everyone was getting right for universal adult franchise, and it is written in our constitution. In the democracy, that if any democratic country is there, the constitution is very much essential. Without the constitution, the country could not be developed. So whenever the constitution written, so they had kept all the things in the mind, and then only people could enjoy the right to vote. Got it? And it is coming in universal adult franchise. Now the photo shows. Here the photo shows a voter reading instruction on how to use an electronic voting machine. Electronic voting machine is EVM. EVMs were used throughout the country for the first time in 2004 general election. When the general elections was there, at that time, first of all, this EVM machine used there. Before that, then what the people were using? People were using the printing the paper ballots paper. Paper ballots paper, they were using it there. And this was the use of EVM since 2004. 2004 started the EVM machine, saved around 1,50,000 trees, which around 1,50,000 trees which would have been cut to produce about 8,000 tons of paper for printing the ballot paper. Now see, 8,000 tons paper were required to printing the ballot papers. Understood? And for making such a papers, the people were cutting down the trees. That was, and they were making the printing ballot papers. Now when we got the freedom, then we got understand this forest. Our forest is our natural resources. It is our natural wealth, and we must have to preserve it. That's why they had stopped to cut down the trees, and then EVM machine started. Now if any machine is there, then if we have to use it, that is what first of all we should have to study, then only we can. Now suppose the government has invented such instruments there and provided to the people there. So training was very much important. So here in the picture you can see, in the picture many people were there. They were taking the training how to use the EVM machine. When you will complete the 18 years, then you also can enjoy how to use the EVM machine there. And EVM machine, it is such a rectangular, and which one our liking leader, his sign and name is there, and we can press only the button, then we can cast our vote. That is the EVM machine. And when it was started for 2004, and because of this we could save the trees, because 1,50,000 trees were cutting down for making such the ballot papers. Got it? Now that another is what? It is the decision of the people that they create a democratic government. It's the people and their representative. People and their representative. What is mean by this? Means what is the meaning of this heading? People, you know, and their representative. What is the representatives? It means that the people only had given vote to them, this particular persons, and they elected as their representative. Like in the classroom, if teacher appointed anyone is to the moderator class, or anyone is the captain there, like that here such a representatives are there, because it's such a vast population. Can everyone go and rule there to the country? No, it is not possible. So among us only people can elected such a representatives, and they do the work. It is the decision of the people that creates a democratic government and decide about its functioning. The basic idea in this kind of democracy is that the individual or the citizens is the most important person, that in principles the government as well as the other public institution need to have the trust of the citizen. It means that the individual or the citizens, those who are living in the country, they must get important, because the representatives are where from among the people only. Understood? And it means that we only elected such a representatives, that the representative always be think the positive about the peoples there. Otherwise, one time the election happened and if they became the representatives and they should not take care of the people, it should not be like that. Means every citizen, every individual must get whatever they want and they must enjoy their right, and it is written not only the representatives, government also, these another public institutions also need to have the trust of these citizens. The trust is very much important. If there is no trust, then nobody can be work. How does the individual give approval to the government? One way of doing so, through elections, people would eliminate their representatives. People would elect their representatives. Elect their representatives is by the election, like that to the parliament. Then one group from among these elected representatives. Suppose the many groups are there, you know that whenever there is a voting, suppose that's a voting date. Voting date is there. All the groups there, many groups are there, many political party like that. Bharatiya Janata Party, Congress Party, then Janata Dal. Many parties are there, and every party has such a representative. Got it? That's one group from among these elected representatives. Such a many groups are there. Among these many groups, one group from elected representatives forms the government, and those who had elected means the chosen by the people, these representatives from the government, they can make their government. Understood? Suppose nowadays that suppose that just a simple example I am going to give. That is Bharatiya Janata Party. Suppose people has given too much vote there, then who will make the government? It is what? It is made by the Bharatiya Janata Party. If the Congress got more vote, the Congress can make. If the Shiv Sena got it there, the Shiv Sena can make. It means that any group, those who elected, or those who will get more vote, that group can make the government. The parliament, which is made up of representatives together. Now all the representatives, that's they together make the parliament, and they control and guides the government. In this sense, people through their chosen representatives from the government and also control it. Now see, here the photo you can see, and you here here elephants also there, and that some peoples are there. They are climbing on the elephants and keeping something there. So what is this photo? This photo shows the election staffs. Now for doing the work, for elections work, the particular staff is there. That staff, what they were doing, because this photo shows election staff using an elephant to carry polling material and EVMs to polling station located in difficult terrain. The polling material and the EVMs, that machine and that whatever they want, that they were carrying it where? In the difficult terrain, means the difficult places where the buses are difficult to go, the trains are difficult to go, even the rickshaws are difficult to go at such a dense forest, or in such a places where always the kacha road is there is no particular road. That also the people can go and they can take such a initiative. And so they are using the elephants, and they were keeping some things where same polling material, EVM machine and everything were on the elephants, and they were going where? In the difficult terrain to do the work. Got it? Now the role of the parliament. Created after 1947. Our parliament created when? After 1947. Before that our parliament was not there. Whose parliament not there? Whose parliament was there? Obviously the British government parliament was there. Created after 1947, the Indian parliament is an expression of the faith that the people of India have in principles of democracy. These are the participation by people in the decision making process and government by consent. Now the faith is very much important. Just I told you, decision making process. Suppose any decision is government has been taken any decision, it is the duty of there that every citizen has to be obeyed at one, or has to be welcomed that decision. But here in democracy, it would, what the decision has taken by the government, the people has right to criticize it there. If the criticism is not there, if the, and directly the, if directly government say that such and such rule made by the government and every citizen has to follow, it means that our country is not free. Got it? In free India or in free country or in democracy, people get rights to criticize the decision which taken by the government. So they get too much value by people in the decision making process and government by consent. The parliament in our system has immense powers because it is the representatives of the people, and in the parliament, why get such a power there? Because the representatives are among us, because we have elected them and then only they became the representative. So they must have to take the decision which is favorable for the people. They must have to see the need for the people. They must have to see the demand of the people, and then only they must have to do the work. Otherwise, what will happen? If we choose our representatives and this representatives was, if the representatives will not do the work, then the democracy would not be applicable properly. Understood? That the representatives of the people, elections to the parliament are held in similar manner as they are for the state legislature. Elections also very much important. Suppose one time election over and always that not. After 5 years, then everyone must get right to be representative or to right to do right to work on that election there. Elections to the parliament are held in similar manner as they are for the state legislature. They are the state legislature. That's why if after 5 years, that everyone must get, every party must get, and whatever they have, suppose they had done some any improvement, suppose they had think it any improvement for the people there, and if their party is not governing there, whenever they get their chance, they can implement their ideas for the sake of the people. Got it? So it is a very important to role. The parliament's role is very much important in the government. Now the role of the parliament, here the Parliament of India. The Parliament of India, it is called the Sansad, and is the supreme law making institution. Supreme law making institutions means always make the law. The law made by who? The Parliament. Now in the last lesson we had seen that is this implementation law is the different than making the law, and whether the people are obeying the law is not, that there are the three institutions are there and they are doing their work proper. So this Parliament of India is the Sansad and is the supreme law-making institution. It has two houses, the Rajya Sabha and the Lok Sabha. Now how many members are there in the Rajya Sabha? With a total strength of, that is of 245 members, is chaired by the Vice President of India. Now the chaired person, who is the Vice President of India, and here Lok Sabha, Lok Sabha, House of the People, with a total members of, how many total members? 545, and is presided over by the Speaker. Now who presided over by this? The Speaker is the Rajya Sabha. Rajya Sabha means what? Council of States, and Lok Sabha means House of the People. Now in this part we had seen this. In the next part we will see another point. Thank you.